Hello everyone, how are you? Welcome back to our course Introduction to Literature. Today we are going to start with our 18th lecture, which is going to be a continuation of our discussion of Sophocles' Oedipus the King. Today I will talk with you about two important topics in the play. The first one is Aristotle's three unities and whether we find them in our play, Oedipus the King. And the second one is the concept of the tragic hero and whether Oedipus is a tragic hero or not. Okay, let us first start with our first topic, which is Aristotle's three unities. You know, Aristotle, who is known in Arabic as Aristo, is the one who laid the foundations of drama, and his background was a classical drama. And I mean by classical here, Greek drama. And his rules are applied to all types of drama in the whole world. Aristotle believes that a play should observe three unities. The first unity is unity of action. And what he means by unity of action is that a play should have one main line of action with no or few subplots. You know, there is the concept of the plot and the subplot. If the play has just one plot, I mean one unified plot, it's a play that observes the classical unities. But if the play has two plots, that is, the play presents two stories at the same time, then we cannot say that the play observes a unity of action. Now, does Oedipus the King as a play observe the unities or not? Does it observe the unities or not? Let us first start with the unity of action, and then we shall move to number two. Number one is the unity of action. We notice that Oedipus the King really observes the unity of action, and I am going to discuss it with you after I discuss the second one. The second type of unity is the unity of place, which means that a play should take place in one single physical location. One single physical location, and I mean by location, place. Number three, unity of time. There should be few or no breaks in time, and the action of the play should be an action that can happen in 24 hours. And let us now answer the question, does Oedipus the King as a play have a classical unities or not? Actually, Aristotle was a great fan of Sophocles and his play Oedipus the King in particular. And the reason is that it followed all of his unities. Though the play refers to past events, it talks about what happened in just one day. One day. Now, what happened in that one day? Here you have the shape of the plot in the play, and actually it follows the rules of the pyramid, as you can see. The play starts with something we call the incentive moment, or the moment that causes something to happen. And this thing happened with the oracle talking about the murder of King Leos. As you can see, the slope rises as we have Oedipus puts a curse on the murderer of Leos. Then things become more exciting as Tiresias accuses Oedipus of the crime. Tiresias, the blind prophet, accuses Oedipus of the crime. This leads to the quarrel between Oedipus and Creon. Both Oedipus and Creon quarrel. Okay? Now, Jocasta tried to solve the problem by telling Oedipus something about oracles. So she tells him about the story of Laos, and she mentions the three roads, and this makes Oedipus suspicious. And that's why he sent for the shepherd. Now, the messenger arrives from Corinth, and during this moment, it is revealed that King Polypus, who used to be the ruler of Corinth, where Oedipus was raised, is not the real father of Oedipus, so Oedipus doesn't need to worry. But actually, things get worse, and Oedipus is more worried than before. Now, things reach the highest moment of tension, and this is the climax of our play, when we have the stories of the shepherd and the messenger, and the two stories point to Oedipus and his involvement in the crime. Now, this is the highest point of tension when Oedipus discovers that he is the murderer of his father and he is the husband of the woman who bore him. After that, Jocasta decides to kill herself. And the reason why she killed herself is that Jocasta couldn't have withstood all the pain that she experienced. And notice that Oedipus was warned against revealing the truth so many times, but Oedipus has this kind of stubborn character, and he refuses to compromise. He wanted to reveal the truth no matter what. So this led to Jocasta's suicide later on, and Oedipus's self-blind. And this is why we can say that Oedipus was somehow responsible for the violence that occurred to his mom. After that, we notice that we have the scene of suffering with Oedipus, Creon, and his four children, the four children that he had with his own mom. Oedipus also requests exile, so he's exiled to Colonus, and the resolution or the end of the play was the departure of Oedipus, and this ends the plague of the city of Thebes. So yes, Oedipus as a play observes the unity of action. Now, as for the unity of place, or sometimes known as unity of space, Oedipus Rex, or Oedipus the king, has only one scene, which is outside the palace in Thebes. We don't go anywhere else. So the play has no subplots, and everything contributes the play as a whole. Contributes to the play as a whole. Now, about the unity of time, we notice that the play occurs in one day. Okay. The other thing that we need to discuss today is the meaning of tragic hero. I need to remind you here that as we were studying fiction, I emphasized that we should not use the word hero when we talk about fiction, but we should use a word which is neutral, and this word is protagonist. Now, is this the case with drama, specifically with the tragedy? Actually, the answer is no. When we deal with drama, we have to use the word tragic hero. If we talk about tragedy, of course. So the word hero is suitable here and very convenient. Aristotle also gave us a definition for the tragic hero. Now, why do I use tragic and hero? Tragic because our play is a tragedy, it's not a comedy. And hero because in a tragedy we are supposed to have a hero, a person who enjoys some important characteristics, and therefore I can safely call him a hero and not a protagonist. According to Aristotle, the hero who is suitable to be the main character in a play is supposed to be a tragic hero. And he is a literary character who makes an error that leads to his or her own destruction. And this is true of all the good tragedies. According to Aristotle, a man does not become a hero until he can see the root of his own downfall. That is, he should experience what we call the fall from the top to the bottom. Now, if I want to say that a certain character in a play is a tragic hero, he should possess specific characteristics which are identified by the great Greek philosopher Aristotle. The first thing, that the tragic hero should have a flaw or an error of judgment. A flaw or an error of judgment. That is, he should have, let us put it very simple, he should have a kind of flaw, FLAW, which means like a kind of disadvantage or a bad thing in his character. Like in the case of our hero Oedipus, his error of judgment is related to his pride. He is very proud of himself, and he took a decision to reveal the truth. And this is a kind of error of judgment. When we study drama, inshallah, we will give you the Greek expressions related to this. Number two, the tragic hero should experience a reversal of fortune. And this is brought about because of the hero's error. Yani because of this error, the hero experiences a reversal of fortune. You know the meaning of reverse. Usually this reversal occurs from prosperity to adversity. That is, the character is often very successful and very happy. And then what happens to him in the play is that his fortune is reversed. He is no longer the strong, happy guy we meet at the beginning of the play. And often the discovery or recognition that the reversal was brought about by the hero's own actions. The fall of the hero from the top to the bottom is often brought by whom? By the same character, by his own actions. Number four, which is very, very important in our play, excessive pride. Excessive pride. And I mean by pride, exaggerated pride. I mean by excessive, exaggerated. The character is not proud, he is very proud. And in the case of Oedipus, pride is very, very clear. The fifth characteristic is that the character's fate must be greater than he deserved. I mean by that, the character is often punished for his errors, specifically for his flaw, but we often find that the punishment was too much for the hero. Like in the case of Oedipus, uh, he, uh, he suffered a lot and he lost his eyes. Initially, I have to tell you that a tragic hero should be neither better nor worse morally than normal people. I cannot classify him as a bad character. So he is often not better or worse than other people. And the reason for that, according to Aristotle, is that we need the people to, let me say, sympathize with him or identify with him. This also introduces pity, the feelings of pity. One important thing is that a tragic hero should arouse our pity and also our fear. We should sympathize with him, and this is very crucial in tragedy. As if the hero was perfect, we would be outraged with their fate or not care specifically because of their ideological superiority. If the hero is extra perfect, then we would not feel the same. The hero should be close to our character. If the hero was imperfect or evil, then the audience would feel that he had gotten what he deserved. So there is always this importance of striking a balance in the hero's character. If I want to simplify things, I would tell you that the character should not be too good or too bad. He should be similar to an average human being. Eventually, throughout the play, events will lead to the death of the tragic hero. So the Aristotelian tragic hero dies a tragic death, having fallen from great heights and having made an irreversible mistake. That is it possible to undo what was done? In other words, Oedipus has already killed his father and married his mother, and now he suffers because of that. Is there anything Oedipus could do to change this? No. It is part of the requirements of having a tragic hero. He will commit an irreversible mistake. However, the hero must courageously accept his death with honor, or his suffering, whatever this suffering might be. To sum up, I might tell you that there are some common traits that the tragic hero must possess. The hero must suffer more than he deserves. The hero must be doomed from the start, but bears no responsibility for possessing his flaw. I mean by that, the flaw or the bad thing in the character is something which is born with the character. It is not something that he himself chose. And you can answer this question yourself. Did Oedipus choose to kill his father and marry his mother? No. Another important thing that you need to know, that the tragic hero must be of high rank or high position. He must be noble in nature, but imperfect, so that the audience can see themselves in him. Okay, so he is noble in birth and noble in nature, but he is not perfect. He is imperfect, so that the audience can identify and sympathize with him. Another characteristic is that the hero must have discovered his fate by his own actions, not by things happening to him. And this is exactly what we have in Oedipus. Oedipus discovered the truth by his own actions. Hero also must understand his doom, as well as the fact that his fate was discovered by his own action. The hero's story also must and should arouse fear and empathy, or if you like, sympathy, if you like, pity, I mean. The hero should arouse fear and pity. Notice these two things. First, fear, and number two, pity. I want you to imagine that Oedipus lives next door, and you know that Oedipus married his mother and killed his father. Wouldn't you feel frightened? Wouldn't you feel that, okay, I don't want to deal with that person? He's awful. I don't want to deal with him. At the same time, as a human being, you will pity him. I mean, you will feel sorry for him because he is in a very difficult situation. The other thing is that the hero must be physically or spiritually wounded by his experience, often resulting in his death, or something which is worse than death. I think it could have been easier for Oedipus to die exactly like Jocasta, not to hurt his own eyes, and not to feel all that pain, and not to feel the pain of exile, the pain of leaving his children to other people. So actually, the experience is very, very difficult, and it results in spiritual as well as physical wounds. The tragic hero is also intelligent, so he may learn from his mistakes. But some people believe that we call the tragedy a tragedy not only because it has a sad end. Some people believe that the tragedy is a tragedy because the tragic hero learns valuable lessons, but it's too late to learn from them because what is done cannot be undone. So the hero definitely learns from his experience, but part of the tragedy is that the hero will not be able to benefit because it's too late. The hero must have a weakness, or as I called it, the flaw, FLAW, and in the case of Oedipus, it's his pride. However, some people add to this Oedipus's unqualified trust in his own mental faculties. I mean by that, Oedipus trusts his mind too much, more than what he should. He believes that when he reaches a judgment, it's the ultimate truth, and nobody needs to search further. And this is also part of his character and his pride, or if you might call it arrogance. Eventually, at the end of the play, a tragic hero must be faced with very serious decisions that he has to make. The hero often finds himself in a situation where he needs to make very serious situations. As you can imagine, with Oedipus, he needed to make a decision pertaining to his exile. Okay, Oedipus at the end of the play exiled himself. So do we have all these characteristics in Oedipus? Did we find all these characteristics in Oedipus? Actually, yes, and to a great extent, because when Aristotle laid the foundations of drama, he had Oedipus in mind. So if we want to ask how is Oedipus a tragic hero, we will say in terms of Aristotle's theory of tragedy, Oedipus is a tragic hero because he is not perfect. He has flaws, and Aristotle points out that Oedipus's tragic flaw is his excessive pride. and self-righteousness. He also points out to certain characteristics that Oedipus has, and therefore he deserved the title of a tragic hero. So Oedipus can be taken as a typical hero of classical tragedies. So Oedipus is not perfect. He has tragic flaws. And his tragic flaw is his pride. And Oedipus is an ideal model who possesses all these things. He commits an error. He suffered. He learned lessons. And eventually he had to take hard decisions. Okay? So here we come to the end of our course, Introduction to Literature. I hope that you enjoyed the course, and I hope that you will pass the course and take the drama course in the future. Our next lecture is going to be dedicated to questions, answers, comments, and feedback. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.